We spend hours online, watching videos, talking to friends and buying stuff. But what's really going on behind the scenes? There's a hidden world out there, a dark place where dangerous things happen. This is the dark web. The kingpin of the dark web was a marketplace called Silk Road. It was like a digital black market where you could buy almost anything illegal. From deadly weapons to human body parts and even people to carry out murders, Silk Road had it all. But it was best known for its drug trade. In fact, it was often called the Amazon of drugs, because you could find and buy any kind of drug imaginable with just a few clicks. You could get anything you wanted delivered right to your doorstep, like ordering from DoorDash, but this wasn't your average online shop. It was a secret world full of illegal stuff. The mastermind behind this secret empire was a guy named Ross Ulbricht. He seemed like a normal person, a good kid who grew up in a good family in the city of Texas. He studied physics in university, and everybody from friends to family knew him for a smart and sweet person. No one would ever guess or imagine he was running a huge criminal business who generated over $1.2 billion selling dangerous things online. There's still a big debate about whether Ross Ulbricht is really guilty or not. In this video, we're diving deep into the dark web to uncover the truth about Silk Road, the infamous online marketplace. We'll explore how a regular guy like Ross managed to create a billion-dollar criminal empire. But the biggest mystery is, how did the government catch him? Ross was super careful to hide his identity, but somehow they found him. This is a story filled with secrets, lies, and maybe even some dirty cops. Join us as we uncover the shocking truth about Silk Road. The story of Ross was quite interesting. He had launched numerous businesses, but none had taken off. Frustration was setting in as he felt he was wasting the prime years of his life doing nothing. However, an idea had been lingering at the back of his mind, one that kept resurfacing back. Ross was a staunch libertarian. He firmly believed in individuals' rights to control their own bodies and make their own choices. His argument was that if drug use was illegal due to its harmful effects, then so should fast food be banned, as it contributes to health issues like obesity and heart disease. He also extended this logic to cars, pointing out their high fatality rates. Ross was a firm believer that the government should not dictate what substances people can or cannot consume. So the idea of creating an online black market wasn't just a business venture for Ross, it was a long-held belief in action. He saw it as more than a way to profit. It was a platform to defend his libertarian principles. After some research, Ross learned about a special internet browser called Tor. It was a secret place where nobody could follow you. This secret internet browser was made by the US Navy to talk to each other without being caught. Ross realized he could use this to sell things online without the government knowing. But there was a problem. People needed to pay for things, and the government could see who paid for what if the transactions were done with credit cards. So Ross couldn't start his secret store yet. Not until the summer of 2010, where Ross came across a digital currency called Bitcoin. A digital currency that was untraceable, so people could buy things without the government finding out. Ross had finally found the missing piece to his puzzle. With Bitcoin, he could create an online store where nobody could trace anything back to him. It was time to turn his dream into reality. Locked in his bedroom, Ross spent countless hours coding his secret website. He didn't want anyone to know what he was up to, so he kept it a secret from his family and friends, meaning he had to create his entire website from the ground up by himself. Only his girlfriend Julia knew about his plan. She was worried, but Ross assured her they were untraceable using the Tor browser and Bitcoin. Together they'd discuss his project while watching Breaking Bad, a show about a chemistry teacher turned to the biggest drug kingpin. It was a strange and dangerous world they were entering. Ross named his online marketplace Silk Road, inspired by the ancient trade route famous for transporting goods across vast distances for centuries. Building Silk Road alone was a slow and painstaking process. Ross poured countless hours into the project, driven by his vision. With the website nearly complete, a major problem emerged. He had no products to sell. Realizing he needed to populate his marketplace, Ross rented an old building in the middle of nowhere and began cultivating magic mushrooms. using a guidebook called Dummy's Guide to Building Your Own Mushroom Farm, and this was the first product that was ever sold in Silk Road. Silk Road first opened its virtual doors in early 2011. Initially, the site offered a limited selection of drugs, primarily magic mushrooms cultivated by the founder on his own farm. However, Ross had a more ambitious vision: a global marketplace for a wide variety of drugs. To achieve this, Silk Road required a substantial user base. Traditional advertising methods like Google and Facebook were out of the question due to the obvious legal implications. Instead, the founder turned to online forums frequented by drug enthusiasts, such as Shroomery. By posing as a satisfied customer, it didn't seem like he was promoting his own website. He generated buzz about Silk Road and encouraged users to explore the platform. This grassroots marketing strategy proved successful, and orders began pouring in. While Silk Road was gaining momentum in early 2011, its creator, Ross, was still having a part-time job at a small Texas bookstore called Goodwagon Books. This proved to be a fortuitous arrangement. The bookstore provided an ideal cover for Ross's illegal business. Leveraging the shop's resources, he employed padded envelopes, a label maker, and even a vacuum sealer, typically used for food preservation, to discreetly package his mushroom shipments. Initially, fulfilling orders twice a week sufficed. However, as Silk Road's popularity exploded through word of mouth, the frequency of shipments escalated to a daily affair. The platform's growth was further accelerated by the emergence of other dealers offering a diverse range of drugs, from marijuana and cocaine to ecstasy. This expanding product catalog attracted more buyers, bolstering Silk Road's position as a thriving black market. To capitalize on these transactions, the platform imposed a 6.23% commission on each sale. As Silk Road rapidly expanded, attracting a growing number of sellers, trust became a paramount concern. To alleviate buyer anxiety about potential scams, Ross implemented a seller rating system. Based on customer reviews and feedback, sellers were assigned a ranking, with the most reputable sellers appearing higher in search results. This mechanism aimed to foster a sense of security among the marketplace's users. Ross was consumed by Silk Road. The relentless work was exhausting, but the site's explosive growth was joyful. Initially doubtful of its potential, he was stunned by the thousands of dollars in revenue generated within months. He shared his triumphs with his girlfriend, Julia. While initially supportive, her enthusiasm waned as the platform evolved. She was concerned because she heard heroin and other stronger drugs is starting to get sold on the site, and said to Ross, "What if somebody overdose or sellers send out stuff that's been tampered with or laced with something else?" Ross, confident in the rating system he created, dismissed her worries by saying that if someone is selling bad drugs, they'll just get a bad rating and no one will buy from them again. Julia replied, "Yeah, but how are they supposed to give a bad rating if they're dead?" Silk Road's crazy rise didn't go unnoticed. Major news outlets like Gawker, ABC News, and NBC News began reporting on this thriving online marketplace. While the publicity boosted Silk Road's sales, it also attracted unwanted attention. Law enforcement agencies worldwide were intrigued by this thriving black market. However, Ross's use of the Tor browser for anonymity and Bitcoin for untraceable transactions made identifying the mastermind behind the operation a really hard challenge. Ross was thrilled by Silk Road's rapid growth. However, his euphoria was tempered when a user listed a gun for sale. While gun ownership is legal in many parts of the US, the idea of selling firearms anonymously on his platform troubled him. Julia's concerns were even stronger. She insisted that he remove the gun listings, arguing that such items had no place on Silk Road. Ross, dismissing her fears, pointed out the legality of gun ownership in some states. But Julia's counter-argument was simple. If guns could be legally purchased elsewhere, why would anyone need to buy them anonymously online? Frustrated and alarmed, Julia confessed everything to her best friend Erica, swearing her to secrecy. For a time, Erica honored this trust. Yet fate intervened. One day, Ross logged into Facebook to find a shocking public post on his wall from Erica. "I'm sure the authorities would like to know about Ross Ulbricht drug websites." Ross was devastated. Overwhelmed by anxiety and fear, he felt betrayed. Julia, the only person he had trusted, had turned on him. Desperate to contain the damage, he swiftly deleted Erica's post and immediately called her, begging and crying on a phone call, asking her to never mention to anyone again. Erica's betrayal stemmed from a personal experience. After purchasing drugs on Silk Road, she suffered a severe adverse reaction, resulting in her going to hospital. She had a debate with both Ross and Julia, and Ross told her to leave the house, so she got revenge through the public Facebook post. Fortunately, the post was online for only a few minutes and was seen only by friends and family, who dismissed it as a joke. The fallout from the incident was irreparable. The fractured trust between Ross and Julia led to their breakup. Julia could no longer reconcile her life with his dangerous and illegal enterprise, so she made him an ultimatum. Julia's ultimatum was clear: either shut down Silk Road or leave. Faced with this impossible choice, Ross opted to leave. The betrayal by Erica had heightened his sense of vulnerability. As a precaution, he decided to temporarily disappear and travel a little bit. Ross sought refuge in the sun, sand and surf of Bondi Beach, Australia. He chased away the winter blues with the vibrant energy of Vietnam's Lunar New Year and indulged in the backpacker lifestyle of Southeast Asia. To the world, he was an ordinary traveler, lost in the tapestry of exotic cultures. Yet beneath this facade, a digital empire thrived. His perfect life was interrupted by the need to use the internet. He had to go to internet cafes to use the computer, but he was always worried someone would see what he was doing. He tried to sit in hidden places and had a secret button to make his computer screen go black if anyone looked at him. He was always scared of being caught because his website was famous all over the world. In some countries in Southeast Asia, people could be killed for selling drugs, and he knew he could end up like that. The site was growing fast, but there were problems. Ross had built the whole thing himself and made a lot of mistakes. One big mistake made him lose money instead of making it. He had to stop new people from joining while he fixed it. Now Ross was working all the time. He had to fix the site, deal with people who wanted to steal his money, angry customers, and packages that got lost. It was too much for one person. He needed help. So he hired some like-minded people who already used the site. They helped him fix the site, answer questions, and deal with problems. They liked working there because they believed in what they were doing. They thought they were changing the world. The site was getting bigger and bigger. More and more people were selling things, and the stuff they were selling was getting crazier. Soon there were spy tools, ways to hack computers, even poison and rocket launchers. One day someone wanted to sell body parts. Ross was shocked. He didn't want this kind of stuff on his site, but he also believed people should be able to buy and sell what they want. So he let it happen. Now Silk Road was more than just a place to buy things. It was like a community. They had giveaways, watched movies together online, and even shared the same ideas. The first movie they watched was a movie called V for Vendetta, which was about fighting the government. It was like the people on Silk Road felt the same way. There were thousands of users on Silk Road, but one particular user always caught Ross's attention. He went by the name Variety Jones. Variety Jones helped Ross with the website's code and offered advice on growing the business. Ross and Variety Jones became best friends, and Ross valued Variety Jones's input. One day, Variety Jones texted Ross, saying not to be a downer or anything, but what we're doing falls under the US drug kingpin laws, which carries a maximum penalty of death upon conviction and a mandatory minimum of life. Variety Jones said he had a plan to help Ross if he ever got caught. Both were big fans of the movie The Princess Bride, which featured a feared pirate named Dread Pirate Roberts. This name was passed down through generations of pirates. Variety Jones suggested Ross change his name from admin to Dread Pirate Roberts. If caught, Ross could claim the title was passed to him, just like in the movie. Ross loved the idea and became known as Dread Pirate Roberts, or DPR. His friendship with Variety Jones continued to grow. They discussed many things through text messages, and Variety Jones was one of the few people Ross could talk to about Silk Road since his incident with Julia. Even his family was unaware of his activities. He lied to them, claiming to be a Forex day trader. They believed he spent his days trading stocks on his laptop, but the reality was far different. The marketplace's rapid growth attracted hackers who tried to break into Silk Road's system. Luckily, these hackers were usually satisfied with Bitcoin ransoms, which Ross could easily afford given his profits. Silk Road was generating over $2.5 million in sales per month by the end of its first year, resulting in substantial commissions for Ross. With the increasing value of Bitcoin, Ross's wealth skyrocketed. By the end of the second year, Silk Road reached 1 million users, and Ross had tens of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin stored in hard drives in his apartment. Ross's ambitions extended far beyond his current success. He shared with Variety Jones his goal of becoming a billionaire before turning 30. Given Silk Road's trajectory, this seemed entirely possible. At its peak, Silk Road was valued at over $1 billion, placing it among the top 500 companies in the US. This unprecedented success transformed Ross into one of the world's most significant drug kingpins. The magnitude of his wealth became apparent when he visited the Dominican Republic and realized his net worth exceeded the country's GDP. However, this immense fortune came with a heavy emotional toll. The guilt consumed him after the tragic deaths of several teenagers who jumped from a 10-story building after consuming LSD purchased on Silk Road. Their parents held Silk Road directly responsible for the loss of their children. FBI, DEA, and plenty other secret services all around the world was in a hunt for the person behind the Silk Road, but no one was coming near to him. The first person to come through with something was actually an IRS agent called Gary Alford. While all the big secret services agent was looking so hard for something, Gary Alford was a simple man who didn't know anything about Bitcoin, Tor browser, coding, or using computers. He was assigned to investigate Silk Road and find out how they are laundering money. He went and did what every normal person would do. He just Googled about Silk Road, but he also changed the date to show only results from early 2011, when Silk Road was rumored to have started, and he came across only a couple of posts, and the first post about Silk Road he found was from a user called Altoid in a forum called Shroomery. But the post seemed like it was done from a costumer of Silk Road and not the creator. But since it was the first mention, Gary decided to dig a little deeper into Altoid. He saw that Altoid also posted on a forum Bitcoin Talk, saying, "Has anyone seen Silk Road yet? It's kind of like an anonymous Amazon.com." Gary found it interesting. Why are all the first searches about Silk Road featuring this guy? And why does he promote Silk Road so much? He dug even deeper to only find a post from Altoid where he posted a job offering looking for a person who can help on a Bitcoin-related project, and if anybody is interested, they should email rosselbricht@gmail.com. Gary was bursting with excitement as he shared his findings with his colleagues, but they dismissed his theory, claiming it was a stretch. Undeterred, Gary delved deeper into Ross Ulbricht's online presence. Ross's YouTube channel revealed a fascination with libertarianism and even saved videos on theft. Intriguingly, Ross consistently responded to comments with, "Oh yeah, so did Dread Pirate Roberts," instead of a simple yes. Gary's suspicions grew when he discovered Ross's LinkedIn profile, which displayed strong anti-government sentiments. Ross had written, "The most widespread and systematic use of force is among institutions and governments, so this is my current point of effort. The best way to change the government is to change the minds of the governed. To that end, I'm creating an economic simulation to give people a first-hand experience of what it would be like to live in a world without the systematic use of force." Adding fuel to the fire, Gary found a user named Ross Ulbricht asking coding questions related to the Tor browser. Suspiciously, the user quickly changed their name to Frosty. Convinced he was onto something, Gary sought help from a colleague in Homeland Security to conduct a background check on Ross. The results were alarming. Ross had a previous record of ordering fake IDs online. When questioned by the police, Ross nonchalantly mentioned buying IDs on Silk Road is easy nowadays. His overconfidence in anonymity was a red flag for Gary. While the evidence was mounting, Gary knew he needed more concrete proof to bring Ross to justice. Despite being an IRS agent, Gary had made significant headway in the Silk Road investigation. However, his lack of access to inter-agency communication left him in the dark about some crucial details. Meanwhile, after 2 years of dead ends, the FBI finally achieved a breakthrough. With the assistance of Icelandic authorities, they infiltrated the Silk Road server located in Iceland. The exact method used to discover the server's IP address remains controversial. Some believe the FBI employed sophisticated surveillance tools, potentially violating Ross's Fourth Amendment rights. However, the FBI maintains that a flaw in the website's code inadvertently leaked the IP address. This newfound data allowed them to monitor login and logout activity for the administrator account. The discovery of logins originating from a San Francisco internet cafe was a major lead. However, unmasking the Dread Pirate Roberts remained a mystery. This is where Gary's meticulous research came into play. He contacted the FBI and laid out his findings, starting with the username Altoid. Gary revealed Altoid was the first to mention Silk Road online. He spammed multiple forums, aggressively promoting the site. However, Altoid made a critical error. In a later post, he inadvertently included his personal email. rossulbricht@gmail.com. Next, Gary presented his discovery from Stack Overflow. A user named Ross Ulbricht had posted a question about Tor software, but immediately changed his username to Frosty. When Gary said this, the FBI room shook, and one FBI agent explained that the confiscated server in Iceland and the computer belonging to Dread Pirate Roberts both shared the same host name, Frosty. This revelation sent a jolt through the room of FBI agents. Gary continued by divulging Ross's current location based on the fake ID incident. The FBI was stunned. Ross's apartment was only blocks away from the San Francisco internet cafe, identified through their server logs. The picture became clear. The elusive Dread Pirate Roberts was practically on their doorstep. Gary's relentless pursuit, combined with the FBI's server infiltration, had finally led them to their target. Now everyone knew that Ross Ulbricht was the person running Silk Road, all because of some simple human errors. With this information, the FBI could easily arrest Ross now, right? Not exactly. It wasn't that simple. They needed to catch Ross with his laptop open. That laptop held valuable information crucial for the prosecution. Plus, it contained details about other employees and major drug dealers. As mentioned earlier, Ross had a security measure. One click on his keyboard would encrypt the laptop, making prosecution difficult. On October 1st, 2013, Ross followed his usual routine, working on Silk Road at a local bar. It was too crowded, so he moved to the San Francisco Public Library. There, he pulled out his laptop and logged into Silk Road. Unbeknownst to him, the library was filled with undercover FBI and DEA agents. But these agents had to be extra careful, because if he closed the laptop, all the data would be encrypted, jeopardizing the whole operation. To distract Ross, two agents staged an argument behind him. As he turned, another agent grabbed his laptop. Ross tried to reach for his laptop, but another agent handcuffed him and put him under arrest. It was perfect timing. Ross's laptop was open, logged into Silk Road, revealing his identity as Frosty and countless incriminating messages, and a diary on how he started Silk Road by himself. News of the arrest shocked the world. The young sweet man everyone knew was revealed as a billion-dollar drug kingpin. His family was in disbelief, convinced it was a misunderstanding or a case of mistaken identity. But the evidence was overwhelming. Ross had generated over $1.2 billion in the span of 2 years. But this next part of the story is absolutely crazy. After the FBI seized Ross's laptop, they extracted a massive amount of data. To their shock, they discovered one of their own agents, Carl Force, was working against the government, aiding Ross and receiving payments for insider information. Force had initially posed as a major drug dealer on Silk Road, gaining Ross's trust. He claimed to have a mole within the DEA and offered to provide information for a fee, paid in Bitcoin. Unbeknownst to Ross, the mole was Force himself. He believed his anonymity was guaranteed through Bitcoin payments and encrypted messages. During their collaboration, Ross sent Force over 750,000 bitcoins. The situation grew even more complex. One of Ross's employees, Curtis Green, a site moderator, received a large cocaine shipment at his home and was arrested by Baltimore police. Suspicious of Green's absence from the site, Ross discovered that Curtis had withdrawn $350,000 in Bitcoin from Silk Road. Assuming betrayal, Ross began investigating. However, the truth was more shocking. The money hadn't been stolen by Curtis. It was diverted by Sean Bridges, a Baltimore police task force agent. Bridges had noticed Curtis's moderator privileges and devised a scheme to siphon off funds into his own Bitcoin wallet, believing anonymity would protect him. Now, Ross had two corrupt law enforcement officers involved in his operation. Feeling betrayed by Curtis, Ross decided to send a message to anyone considering crossing him. Ross felt betrayed by Curtis and feared further losses. He assigned people to follow Curtis Green, hoping to intimidate him into returning the stolen money. However, Variety Jones advised Ross to send a stronger message: eliminate Curtis to deter future betrayals. Reluctantly agreeing, Ross posted a request for a hitman on a group chat. Carl Force, aware of Curtis's recent arrest, saw an opportunity. Responding to Ross's request under the username Knob, he offered the services of a hitman for $40,000 upfront and another $40,000 upon completion. Ross accepted and paid the initial fee. Force visited Curtis in prison and staged a murder scene, providing Ross with photographs as proof. Though relieved that Curtis was incapacitated, Ross felt a profound sense of guilt for ordering the hit. Ultimately, he justified his actions as a necessary evil to maintain control over his criminal empire. In reality, no one was killed. Ross had merely paid a corrupt cop to fake Curtis's death, and he had been manipulated by another dirty cop into believing his employee Curtis had stolen from him $350,000. This experience fostered a dangerous mindset in Ross. Convinced he could eliminate threats with money, he ordered hits on 5 more people, including hackers who had previously attacked Silk Road. His diary documented these contracts, such as sent payment to Angels for hit on Tony 76 and his 3 associates. Fortunately, none of these hits were carried out. Ross was unknowingly paying scammers posing as hitman. This ultimately worked in his favor during the trial, as the murder charges were dropped due to lack of bodies, and he couldn't be charged for murders that never took place. Both corrupt officers were eventually arrested and sentenced to 6 years in prison. Had Ross not been caught, Carl Force and Sean Bridges would have enjoyed substantial freedom and wealth. Despite overwhelming evidence, Ross's family continues to believe he was framed and denies the authenticity of the incriminating text messages. But what actually happened to Ross? Ross faced 7 felony charges, including drug trafficking, money laundering, and violating the Kingpin statute, a charge typically reserved for cartel leaders. Despite being caught red-handed operating Silk Road, he pleaded not guilty. His defense lawyers admitted to Ross creating Silk Road, but claimed it was a social experiment rather than a profit-driven venture. His lawyers argued that Ross had sold Silk Road to Dread Pirate Roberts years prior, and that the current charges were a frame-up. They claimed the incriminating diary entries and text messages were planted. However, the evidence was overwhelming, including Ross being caught logged in as the site's administrator. Despite a lack of support from the jury, Ross gained public sympathy. Many viewed him as a modern-day Robin Hood, providing a safer alternative to traditional drug markets. They argued that Silk Road's review system improved product safety and reduced harm compared to street-level transactions. Ultimately, the jury found Ross guilty on all counts. In a heartfelt letter to the judge, Ross expressed remorse and pleaded for leniency by saying, "I've had my youth, and I know you must take away my middle years, but please leave me with my old age. Please leave a small light at the end of the tunnel, an excuse to stay healthy, and a chance to redeem myself in the free world before I meet my maker." Despite Ross Ulbricht's plea for mercy, the judge imposed a severe sentence of 2 life terms plus 40 years without parole. This harsh punishment was a clear statement that the court would not tolerate such large-scale criminal activity. The case sparked a broader debate about the nature of online marketplaces and the limits of government regulation. Public outcry followed the harsh sentencing of Ross Ulbricht. However, the judge stood firm in her decision, outlining the devastating consequences of Silk Road. She argued that the platform's impact extended far beyond the individuals who knowingly consumed drugs. The availability of dangerous substances on Silk Road contributed to addiction, overdose deaths, and the breakdown of families. The judge emphasized that while no bodies were directly linked to Silk Road, the platform's existence created an environment where such tragedies could, and often did, occur. Moreover, the judge highlighted Ulbricht's attempts to silence those who threatened his operation, emphasizing the 5 ordered hits as evidence of his willingness to resort to violence. This response from the judge served to clarify the rationale behind the severe sentence and to counter the public perception of Ulbricht as a mere idealist. Real quick, before we continue, if you're currently enjoying this video, make sure to turn on notifications to be notified whenever I post more content like this. No matter your stance on the issue, it's undeniable that Silk Road introduced countless individuals to substances they were previously unaware of. A 2015 study revealed a disturbing trend. Opioid overdose deaths surpassed gun-related fatalities. Silk Road's role in facilitating access to these deadly substances cannot be ignored. In the short span of 2 years, from February 2011 to October 2013, Ross Ulbricht transformed his bedroom into the epicenter of a billion-dollar criminal enterprise. Silk Road processed over 1.2 million unique transactions, generating more than 9.5 million bitcoins. The platform's commission alone amounted to 614,305 bitcoins, equating to approximately $600 billion in today's value. Ulbricht's personal cut from these commissions exceeded $38 billion. Had he remained undetected, he would have easily secured a place among America's wealthiest individuals. But just like Walter White in Breaking Bad, Ross's favorite TV show character, we saw Ross turn his bedroom into a billion-dollar illegal business only using his laptop. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me through this whole story. I really appreciate it. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. I can't wait to share more mind-blowing stories with you. Peace out.